I'm Rebecca Dawson, and today we're going to be discussing some of the themes for 2018 from our recent channeled event, Themes from 2018, that was filled with messages from Kuthumi, Serapis Bey and St. Germain. And in particular, I'd like to explore two particular themes that came through there. The one is the holographic nature of accumulated experience, and the other one is the power of spontaneous action, which I'm very excited to be playing with at the moment. So let's begin with perhaps Serapis Bey and his message about how we place a lot of importance on our history and experience to define who we are as individuals. He really begins to speak about the weight of identity in terms of our importance on our experience and what we believe that we have learned in our perceived journeys. It's very difficult for us to really move into our mastery and to really maintain our sovereignty as cosmic beings and our sovereignty of having access to cosmic information and all of the wisdom of the universe, if we strongly identify still with the premise that everything we know we learn from experience. Many of us, I believe, are coming to a point in our understanding where we perhaps believe that our human experience impedes some of our internal sovereignty and wisdom, to the extent where it's very difficult to actually access what we know in the face of what our brains believe is our accumulated wisdom and experience. For example, he gave that fantastic example about baking a cake in that video, in that the way that humans approach what they perceive to be a problem in life is they will go into all of their accumulated memories and history and experience to pluck out the bit of information to proceed with what to do next. Although ultimately, all of that is designed with the approach of baking a cake as a problem to be solved. And when we approach life as a problem to be solved, the brain loves it because that's what the brain's designed for. It's a problem-solving device. So what it will do is it will access all the accumulated memory and all of the accumulated experience to give you a solution to solve that problem. But does the brain, in approaching life or baking a cake in a problem-solving way, actually give us access to creation? Because all the information it's going to give us is how to make something that's already been made before. And we know that we're on a planet now where we don't want too much of what we've already created. We'd really like to experience something different. So how is it then that we actually bypass our accumulated history, knowledge and experience to move us into a different kind of existence here? This is about approaching, for example, the baking of the cake in a way that's all about creation, which means you're not referring to any history of experience or externalized knowledge. You're actually starting to dip into your cosmic wisdom and cosmic knowledge to create a completely different experience. When we start to do that, the whole body is alert and the whole body is paying attention. But it's not a natural thing for us to do after years and years and years of self-discipline and learning in structured ways where we refer automatically to our memory banks to tell us what to do next. And that's not just our individual memory banks, that's also the memory banks of the cells and the DNA that tell us what experience humanity has had throughout the generations that came before us. So in terms of moving forward differently this year, we can start to become more expressive of our cosmic wisdom and move more from doers to creators by starting to look at everything that we engage with as an opportunity to create. And when we start to do that, the identity that we do have that's based on our history and our experiences actually starts to thin. And as that starts to thin, more of the light of your cosmic self, of who you are, of what you really know, starts to become visible to people. And that's when you become quite magnetic. That's when people start to see you a little bit as the enigma, they might not be able to really put their finger on who you are as these layers of accumulated experience become less relevant to you. But they know that there's something incredible about you that draws them to you. And if you're listening to this, chances are that you're moving into that state now. And not only are you feeling like you don't really belong to your history or experience, but you also find that people are starting to gravitate towards you. And it can be a very difficult time because on the one hand, you feel as if you don't really want to belong to humanity or your history or your experience anymore. But on the other hand, you also know that it's a natural thing for you to begin to engage with people if they come to you seeking your wisdom. So for many of us, this is a time where we're sitting between two different worlds. We're sitting in one world where we can see what our history and experience is and we no longer relate to it, and so we want to withdraw. But then the other side of that is, as we stop relating to that, we become more visible, so people become more attracted. It can be a really confusing time. But if you can understand what is happening and understand that it's worth celebrating, it can perhaps be a little bit more comforting to you. So the other topic that we wanted to pull out from the themes of 2018 was this notion of spontaneous action, which I absolutely love the way St. Germain refers to it as a key out of the loop, a key out of the karmic cycle, and a key out of repetitious experience, which is what we all want at this time. We want a new planet, we need some new experience. So the simplicity of this, I think, is just divine, because it really just comes down to an energetic disruption of repetition. And although we've been conditioned to believe that we shouldn't be disruptive, it's disruption in the most beautiful way, because it's a disruption that creates new doorways and pathways, not only for ourselves, but also for the rest of humanity. Remember, we're not doing anything just for us anymore. It's not about your journey and it's not about my journey. It's about creating a new planet. So the beautiful notion of spontaneous action is really about creating new pathways and doorways that weren't there before. And how do we do it? We do it by acting from a spontaneous energy. And that in itself is acting from Source. Source really isn't interested in predictability, and it's not interested in experiencing the same thing over and over again. That's a human concept, and it's not really what humans were designed for. It's what our systems have designed us to be for. So in creating new pathways of experience, it really starts to break open where you think your journey is going. So it becomes less about your own personal accumulation of experience, and it becomes about what can I actually start to impact? What can I actually start to influence? If you've been listening to that themes of 2018 and you've been playing with that recently, you'll be having all sorts of fun at the moment, because it's an incredibly powerful way of having new experiences. The challenge with it is remembering to do it. I know for myself, I have times where I become so caught up in what I need to get done and what I need to be spending my time with, and yet the energy's just not there. You can imagine, for example, when I know that I have to be really interested in making a video about the themes for 2018, and the energy's just not there for me. So what do I need to do in that moment? I actually need to do something spontaneously. And what that's going to do is it's going to break that lethargic energy and that energy of commitment and routine, and actually start to inspire me into expressing from cosmic wisdom instead of expressing from what does the brain think it has to do to make this video. When my brain starts getting involved, nothing flows. Why? Because as Serapis said, the brain's only there to solve a problem. And if I'm looking at creating a video as solving a problem, it's not going to be too inspiring to listen to. So in terms of the flow with spontaneous action, St. Germain used the example of breakfast and how breakfast can be the most exciting creative adventure of your day. And I have to say, I have really been enjoying that, not just with breakfast, but in terms of where I'm actually spending my day. So instead of sitting at my desk and looking through some transcripts and editing. I'm actually sitting outside and doing it, or I'm sitting at the beach and doing it. And it's just incredible how time stops when I'm spontaneous. And there's so much more flow, and so many more things are available, and so many more things happen when I move into that. So if you're actually getting bogged down or stuck in the mire of routine, structure, and scheduling, start doing something spontaneous, because not only will time start to open up and time starts working for you, but the flow of what you actually produce and how you communicate and how you interact with people completely changes. The spontaneous action allows you to become more visible in that moment too. It just opens up more of what's available to you during our earthly experience. So those are my thoughts on the two main things that came through on this video. I am going to be challenging myself in the next week to be more spontaneous in every day. I'm also going to be challenging my family to be more spontaneous. I don't know about you, but my family is extremely routine oriented to the point where it can be quite infuriating, because when you try to do something spontaneous, nobody really wants to do it with you. So what am I discovering from this? That it's not about shifting everybody else. It's about opening up new possibilities in your own experience, because when you do that, you enter a reality where suddenly your family is more inspiring to you as well. So I'm definitely playing with, don't try and change your family, change your reality by being spontaneous, and suddenly there's a whole new version of life. So that's been my version for today. I'm looking forward to what I can create tomorrow. And it will be interesting to see how your visibility and your wisdom starts to become very attractive for other people, and to see how many more adventures you can create this year, because remember, you're not just creating for you, you're creating for humanity. So that's pretty much all I've got to say about that at the moment. I'll be sure to check in if I have any more comments or experiences to share with you. It's good to know that we're all having this experience together, that we're all experiencing the changes in the electromagnetic fields in the body together, and we're all learning how to play and create in a new way. Remember, there aren't any rules for this. There is just an invitation to experience and discover more of who and what you are. Much love to all of you, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.